I guess it would help if I unmuted it. So, hello, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to another week of Next Level Coaching. I'm excited today. We are going to talk about the 10 fast acting ways to accelerate your business in the next 45 days. So, I'm going to go ahead and screen share here and we will get started with this. All right. So, yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining again. 10 fastest acting ways to explode your business in the next 45 days. So we're going to jump right into this. This is a class that I've taught all over the country and has really helped a lot of people kind of get refocused. I know we're in September now. It's coming time to start planning next year. Really, can you believe we're saying that already? Next year's business, but it is. So I want to start out today with if I can get my PowerPoint here to work. We're gonna start with mindset, and this is very important when it comes to growing your business and taking it to the next level. So first of all, I want to point out to everybody, and hopefully you guys will agree with me that 95% of all the transactions are done by 5% of the agents. So what makes them become that 5%, right? And what's it going to take for you to become that 5% doing 95% of the transactions? Well, let's look at it this way, right? You have your brain here, you have your mindset, and all your life growing up, you have your parents telling you, I have 9-year-old boys, I'm constantly saying this. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No, don't talk to strangers. Hey, stop doing that. There's a car coming, right? So we're constantly taught our whole lives, no, 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 don't talk to strangers. And what's the one thing that when you first get into real estate that everybody says to do, right? Pick up the phone and call a bunch of strangers. Well, you've been taught your whole life to not talk to strangers, and now to become successful at sales, successful at real estate, you're going exactly what you're taught your whole life not to do, right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to crawl before we walk, and then we're going to jog and learn how to run, okay? So 10 fasting ways to explode your business. Number 2 is we're going to talk about fear. So what is fear, right? Everybody has a fear of picking up that phone, right, to make those phone calls. Everybody has fear of, that they don't know enough, so they're trying to get into this, with a false sense of fear. And what I call fear is, it's false evidence appearing real, right? Fear is a myth. Like I just said, fear is your mindset. When we just talked about mindset, and your whole life you're taught, and you teach your kids, don't talk to strangers, yet that's the first thing we want you to do when you get into real estate is talk to strangers. It's a myth. It's your mindset of what you've done. It's false evidence appearing real. So what are our biggest fears in real estate? Well, it's the fear of rejection, right? It's I pick up that phone and they're going to say no. They're going to reject me. First of all, here's what I have to say is, you got to kind of get over yourself, right? Fear of rejection. I don't care if you're a top agent in your area, if you're doing 50 million, 100 million, most likely these people don't know who you are. And if they do know who you are, they're not, they don't care. They're not thinking about you every single day, right? So you just have to get over that fear of rejection because it's not real. They're not rejecting you. When you're at home and you get that phone call from that telemarketer at 8 o'clock in the morning when you're, eating dinner, are you rejecting that telemarketer? Or are you just rejecting the fact that, you don't know who they are. You don't know who they specifically are. Yeah, you're rejecting the act of them calling you during dinner time, but you're not rejecting them personally. So the second one that we have is fear of success, right? And some people are like, well, what do you mean fear of success? I want to be successful, right? But, I see it every day. I think this is a bigger fear than what most people lead to believe. And I think this is the number one thing I see in coaching clients on a day-to-day basis is their fear of success. So, I mean, you guys that are just joining, I mean, if all of a sudden I came out to you, and you may already be doing this, but if I just said, hey, guess what? You're going to put 50 deals under contract next month. What's the first thing that pops in your head? Right? Most of you are like, oh crap. Like, I don't have enough staff. I'd be working, 80 hours a week. I'd be doing it. But so that's fear of success. Your fear of the unknown and what to do, right? So you're scared of that success. And again, that's false evidence appearing real. 50 deals a month. I know I have agents I know all over the country that are doing 50 deals a month. I just talked to an agent yesterday. They put 125 deals under contract last month, right? But to a lot of you, that scares the crap out of you. So you got to get over that. We will learn, and we can teach you, and you can get trained on how to close 50 deals a month and stuff like that. But don't be scared of that success. Had one client, he was, he just went after it. He was brand new in real estate, just got after it, and was listing, like within his third month, 30 listings a month. And he's like, oh, he did not have that fear of success. And did some of the stuff fall through the cracks? Yeah. He goes, after a month, he goes, I'd have 10 drop off and cancel their listings. And, some people are like, well, yeah, well, that's horrible. Well, he still took 20 a month, right? And then over the course of the next couple months, he figured out what he needed to do to not lose 10 a month. The next month he had 5 a month canceled because he didn't have the systems in place to handle them. But eventually he got to the point to where every month it was fewer and fewer canceling. But guess what? He was still taking 30 listings a month. All right. So our biggest one that I think a lot of people have is fear of failure. There's books.
Real quick, also,
Yeah.
Zig Ziglar always said the same mindset that gets you there is not the mindset that's going to bring you to the next level. So you're going to have to keep pushing yourself with different mindsets and different belief systems to get you to that furthest level, to get you that next step, to bring you to that next plateau you're going to reach.
Exactly. Right. So again, the whole thing here is, knowing that fear is not real. It's something that's made up in your head. And fear of failure, I look at this one as a motivation factor. I think it's why I've been successful. All as soon as I barely graduated high school, right? I did. I look back at it now and I'm like, what was I thinking? But so in high school, just off story, we needed 22 credits to graduate high school. Okay. I started my senior year with 12.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So now I graduated, on time. I actually, my senior year, I finally had that fear of failure because I think it was my junior year when I went in, and this still drives me to succeed today. Went in to talk to the career counselor my junior year of high school, and she looked at my stuff, and I just, I got into, wanting to have fun in high school, and I think the big thing was I found out what girls were. Right. Anyway, so I remember sitting in there and she's like, yeah, you're not going to amount to anything. You need to get your act. You're literally going to be a janitor or a cook when you grow up. Nothing wrong with those. I know some people who make great money as cooks or janitors, but I was just like, you know what? I'm going to prove this person wrong. Right. And I ended up graduating on time, going in the Navy, then going to college and, graduating cum laude, which I still throw that and all that. But my point here, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that fear of failure and that fear of somebody telling me I was going to be a failure is what has motivated me and still motivates me to this day. Right. So,
Matt, I used to tell all of my agents, I would start out every meeting when we went into fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of these things. And we would talk a little bit about a speech that Nelson Mandela actually gave. It was, after he had been in prison for years and years, and he'd finally gotten out and was starting to take over South Africa. He actually came out and read a poem that this lady had wrote, and it's real quick, and I'll say it. It's our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. You playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Love it. Dude, write that down and post it on Facebook. Post it in our group because I'd like to have that. So that's awesome. And it is, it's, you have to get over that fear that is not real, right? And so how do you do some of it? Some of it, we have tools to help us, right? So what we're going to talk about, number 3, is having a marketing arsenal, right? Having something that, can help you get over some of these fears. Some people have a fear of, how to handle objections. Well, having a great marketing arsenal is one of those ways. And I'll throw up, this Jim Rohn quote, success is not something you pursue. It is what you attract from what you have become. So think of that, right? It's what you become that is success and what you attract, right? People are going to be attracted to you for what the value that you bring to them, right? So we have to bring value, and we can do that with, our marketing arsenal. So
just to let everybody know who Jim Rome is, because a lot of people don't. Anthony Robbins actually gives Jim Rome entire credit for his entire career. That's how important. I mean, we all know who Anthony Robbins is, but he actually gives Jim Rome that credit, that kind of a level.
And if you haven't heard, go down. He has great books. Go to YouTube and just type in Jim Rome. He will change your life. There are many people that credit him to just some of his small quotes that have been like, wow, that one quote really puts it in perspective. So yeah, go check out anything from Jim Rome. So talking about a marketing arsenal, I'm going to go through a handful of things that I think is a must in your business. And the first one is a performance guarantee. Do you have a performance guarantee? And some of you are going, what is a performance guarantee? So here's what a performance guarantee is. And here's a simple one that you can do. This is one I used for years, and I've changed them up throughout. But, guarantee to sell your house in 30 days or I'll sell it for free, right? It's a performance guarantee. Put your money where your mouth is. Or I have some of my clients say, guarantee to sell your house in 60 days or I will buy it. I have one client, a guarantee to sell your house or I'll pay your mortgage until it's sold, right? Do you have a performance guarantee, right? Now, obviously, when we guarantee our performance, and if you put something on there, I guarantee to sell it or I'll sell it for free. Well, you're only taking that listing if you can do it, right? You're not going to guarantee that you can sell it within 30 days if the average marketing time in your area is 120 days and, they want to overprice the house, right? We have some restrictions to our performance guarantees, right? Right now, houses are selling here within literally sometimes it was hours, now it's weeks, right? So the average marketing time for ours is before we get a contract is about 2 weeks in our market right now. So it's easy to put out that performance guarantee. Now I may even go, hey, guaranteed to get your home sold in 14 days or I'll sell it for free, right? Now they still have to pay the seller side or buyer side commission on that, but look at your average days on market, put it just below that, and then when you accept their listing, say, yeah, here's the normal marketing time is 30 days. I'm agreeing to do it within 14. That means we need to price it at a 14-day price, right? Does everybody agree there? Okay. Next, have a communication guarantee. Now, this one is huge. All right, guys, please mute. If you're on here, you have to put a mute button down there. Please mute if you can. Communication guarantee. Now, we don't have a whole lot of expired listings here, but, I made a living off expireds there for a long time. And the number one thing I would hear from expired listings, or number one complaint, is my realtor, my agent, never communicated with me. They listed their property, they put a sign and lockbox in the yard, and then I never heard from them again. So guarantee that. Mine is, I guarantee that I will communicate with you at least once a week about your listing. And if I ever fail to do so, you can fire me on the spot, right? So, and it's simple. I just have in my business that every Tuesday morning, I spend, an hour calling my listing, right? So, have that communication guarantee, right? Next one, have a marketing plan, right? I have an 89-point marketing plan that is guaranteed to sell your house for top dollar in the fastest amount of time possible, right? So at least have a marketing plan. Now, does it have to be 89 points? No, it could be 5-point marketing plan. The key here is they want to know you have a plan when you go to list their house, right? So you can have an 89-point marketing plan. You could have a 150-point marketing plan. You could have a 9-point marketing plan. Just have a plan, right? And what is it? What is my marketing plan? Yeah, there's some things I do that most agents don't do, but most of my marketing plan is just what the average agent does when they list a property, right? I'm going to put it on MLS. I'm going to put a sign in your yard. I'm going to put a lockbox. All those are points to my plan, right? Put it on realtor.com. I'm going to put it on, just list all those out, and now you have a plan. You would be surprised when we were talking about, that 5% of the agents make 95% of the money. Well, it's those 5% that have a marketing plan. The rest don't. I mean, you'd be surprised when I get a new coaching client. I'm like, hey, send me your marketing plan. I'm like, what? They don't have it. Just have it. Have it written down. Get it out to the potential sellers, right? Having a smart seller program is another part of our marketing arsenal. So
just do it.
What's that?
Just do it.
Just do it.
And do it and do it and do it.
All right. A smart seller program. So what's a smart seller program? This is something that has gotten me more listings than any other one of these marketing arsenals combined. So I use this with for sale by owners. So my smart seller program is simply stated, it's something that I offer to for sale by owners that say, hey, you list your property with me, but you can go ahead and market it yourself. And if you find a buyer for your own property, you don't owe me a commission, right? Now, if you want me to go ahead and handle the paperwork and take it from contract to close and communicate with the lender and the appraiser and the inspector and all that, I'll do that for 1%, okay? So I offer this to for sale by owners. Now, the truth of the matter is as soon as they sign that listing agreement, even if they sign up for the smart seller program, none of them end up marketing the property themselves. They all think they will, but the truth of the matter is they throw their hands up in the air and rejoice when they sign that listing agreement because they're sick and tired of marketing the program. So again, don't be scared of this and have this in your marketing arsenal. And the last one is having an easy exit guarantee, right? So a lot of times we'll get people and they'll say, well, I don't want to sign a 6-month contract. I signed a 6-month contract with my last agent and I was locked into it and I don't want to sign that. Well, I'll say, great. Well, my company requires that I do that and I budget out marketing dollars for 6 months, but I also have an easy exit guarantee. So if you don't feel like I'm doing what I need to do and what I say I'm going to do, you can fire me on the spot. So, offer an easy exit guarantee where they sign the actual listing agreement. So you get it in the MLS. You don't have to sign a new one every month if we're in that type of market, but they can fire you at any time. Right? So number 4 in 10 fastest ways to explode your business is having systems. Having systems in place. And so what's a system? It's a systematic approach targeting a specific target market with a predetermined result, right? I call these my 4 pillars, right? Yeah, I want you to have systems out there that are going to get you predicted income, right? So having a system in place. So again, like a for sale by owner system or whatever, we say that, I train that you want to have 4 systems minimum. Right now, going out there, what are those 4 systems? What's the fastest way to get money right now? First of all, you have to diversify, and you have to have a 60-day follow-up. So when we talk about the 4 systems minimum, right, you want to focus on having 4 of those in place. And I'll get to those, but some of them you may, right now in most markets, we're in a seller's market. So having a for sale by owner system is key. That could be one. Having an expired system in place. Not real big right now, but it's going to come back, right? So you want to have 4 systems minimum, whatever that is. A repeat and referral business. Having that in place and having a way that you're systematically following up with it, right? So it gives you a predictive income. Having an REO business, right? That could be a system in place. That's something a lot bigger that takes a lot more work. But if you have that in place, which I do, which I think I have 2 REO listings right now, it isn't much, but when the market shifts, I'm right there to pick up all that. The system's still running, and I don't have to really touch it. So you definitely want to diversify. And the key to some of these systems is having at least a 60-day follow-up, right? I know, Craig, you have a great system in place through your KV Core that generates you, when you kick that system into gear, it gets you, anywhere from 60 to 180 leads right away, right?
Absolutely. Just through the steps of the Facebook groups, we've already talked about all of that and walked that through. Getting all that in place, it dumps into KV Core, and then from there, I spend the next 4 or 5 days getting through all of the leads that come in.
Right.
And for sellers as well, using Nextdoor and pushing that system through there as well. So listings and buyers, either way you want to do it, we got it covered.
Exactly. Now, the key is all those leads that come in is also make sure they're on a 60-day follow-up, right? To make sure that they're, first of all, is following up quickly, which we'll talk about here shortly, but also having a system in place to where they're being followed up with for the next 60 days. And what I say is, until you get a hold of them, you need to have time blocked out in your day, every single day, to follow up, or for lead generation, to get new leads, and for lead follow-up, right? And you should, any new lead that comes in or any new lead that you talk, I tell everybody, call them every day for 60 days. And people are like, what do you mean call them every day for 6 days? Well, I mean, if you call them every day until you get a hold of them, right?
Your major producers, Matt, are actually calling them 3 times a day, 3 days in a row. And if they still can't get in touch with them, then they go bring it to 1 time a day until they get in touch with them.
Right. Correct. And the key is doing that follow-up, right? So having a system in place, having it so, using Top Producer or KV Core and putting in your calendar and having a list of who you're going to call, and you call them every single day. I mean, Craig, I think we talked earlier today. You generated how many leads just from your post yesterday?
Yesterday was 40. As of this morning, it's 46.
46 leads, all right? So to call 46 people, right, you have to have a system in place. You have to have that time blocked out to call on those people, right? Now, you get a hold of some of them today, great. Now you have, let's say you get a hold of 8. Well, guess what? Tomorrow you still have 40 you need to call tomorrow, right?
Can I touch on that just a second, Matt?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sorry. Now, guys, a lot of times when they do sign in with KV Core and your different systems, you're going to find that they don't put their phone numbers in, or they put a fake number, and you can see that automatically. So then what do? There's a button next to each name. When you pull up the contact, it's a validation button. Click that button next to the name, and a lot of times it'll pull up their Facebook, their their Twitter accounts, their LinkedIn accounts, different things like that. Now, when they pull those things up, I have actually then started to going in with Facebook accounts, going through Messenger and messaging them from their Facebook accounts. On Twitter, send them a tweet. Hey, Trump does it all day. Send them a tweet.
There you go.
And I've actually started that. It's just a matter of getting them to respond to you. And then if you can get in front of them, you can build that rapport. And like Matt always talks about, you build a rapport, then they'll stick with you. But until then, you're just a number on a wall somewhere.
Right. And, you know, I've really found in a lot of my clients right now, texting is huge, right? Or as our president would say, huge, right? Texting is huge right now, especially we have millennials that are now coming into the home buying market, right? Millennials, again, they have that fear that we talked about. They have a fear of talking to people, you know, they just want to text. And if you text them, I actually just watched a training video. This was he actually is a millennial, and he goes around and gives speeches and advice to all the top 500 Fortune 500 companies on working with millennials and how to work with them. And one of his biggest things was, you know, texting. You know, text them. They like to text. So if you're not into texting, get used to it, right? Not just with our clients, but with other agents that are coming into the business. I just did a deal. It was now about 2 months ago, and it was with a millennial because I figured it out pretty quickly, and I Facebooked, stalked him. I literally did this whole deal with this agent and didn't talk to him once. I tried many times to call him but I would literally call him and leave him a voicemail, and literally 30 seconds later he'd text me. And I was like, just pick up the dang phone. But that's what we have to adapt, because that's what's coming. The millennials are coming in here. And another statistic that I just heard is, think about this. 50% of the real estate that is going to be sold in the next 5 years is going to be sold by people who are not even real estate licensees yet. They don't even have their license yet. What does that mean? That means that they're millennials and they're not even in real estate school. They don't even have their license. So 50% in the next 5 years are people that aren't even in real estate yet, that are going to be in real estate. Think about that. So the texting. So number 5, listings, right? You got to list the last. We're the best place to get listings right now. Here they are right now. I'd say it's physicals, expireds, and this is kind of an old slide. I'm going to, kind of, the short sales is not there, but I think if you were on our call a couple of weeks ago on preparing for the shift, it's going to be huge, and you need to start preparing. And then probate. So I want to focus right now just on 2 of them, and that's for sale by owners. Right now, for sale by owners, I mean, they're all over. Just go to Zillow, and if you go into Zillow, type in your city, your zip code, or anything, and up at the top, you can go in and uncheck mark everything, and then just check mark for sale by owner. I know in my area, I just looked last week, and in my whole city area, if I take the metro area, there's like 250 to 280 for sale by owners in the area. And then you can also go over to the right and put in when they just came onto Zillow. Now, there's more than what are on Zillow, but that just kind of gives you an idea of how many are in your area. They're raising their hand. They are out there. It is a huge low-hanging fruit right now that you can go and right now, out of 280, you could easily list 5 to 10% of those, right? That's just in my market. Your market may be different, but most of the country is in a seller's market, which for sale by owners are going to be, prevalent. Expireds are not that big right now, but I want you to think about what you can do to set up a system to capture expireds, because when the market starts to shift, which we're already seeing signs of it, you're going to start seeing more and more expireds out there. Short sales don't have a whole lot right now because we do have a good market, but I will tell you with what happened about 8 years ago, right? About 8 years ago, we had a lot, I'd say 50% of the mortgages out there were 80-20 mortgages, right? People were getting 80% first mortgage, and they were getting a HELOC, home equity loan, for their second mortgage, and the banks were allowing that. Well, those second mortgages were 5-year balloons. So they were fixed for 5 years. And then after 5 years, they started becoming adjustable rates. They were all interest only. So none of them went down to pay down principal. Well, here's the deal. After that 5 year, they started adjusting. That was about 3 years ago. Where were the interest rates 3 years ago? They were at all-time lows, right? So most of those payments adjusted downward. We are starting to see now interest rates rise, and some of those payments are coming up, right? So their payments are adjusting upwards. No one paid off those 20% loans. They all thought they were like, well, in 5 years, yeah, we'll just pay down that 20%. No one did it because no one does. They just go out and, get more and more debt, right? So now that those are going to start adjusting upwards, one of two things are going to happen. People are either going to have to sell their houses because they can't afford that payment. They could go refi, but here's the problem. They also went out and bought, new cars, new trucks, new boats, and their income to debt ratio is out of whack, and they can't refi at the price that they need to. So they're going to have to either sell it, which in a lot of markets they can right now because, the home prices have gone up. But very shortly, I'm seeing it on the coast with my coaching clients. They're having trouble getting stuff to appraise now and get it to sell. So they're going to have to go back to where they can't afford the payment and they can't sell it. What are they going to have to do? They're going to have to short sale it. So that's coming on the horizon, not big right now. But the last one I want to talk about, which is one of the most underrated places out there, is probate. If you don't know what probate is, it's unfortunately somebody had a death in the family. Their parents died, their siblings died. It goes into probate court, and now somebody usually not located in the city that you're in, they have a property to sell. It's going through the probate courts, and they're going to have to sell this property after a death in the family. This is huge. There's only a handful of people that go after these leads, right? So it's a great niche to jump into. No one goes after them. I have coaching clients that are just crushing this all over the country. Kind of to get started, you can go to probateleads.com. You can actually, if you want, know for a certain fee, they'll, find these probate leads for you. Or you can just go to the local courthouse and find out who the trustees are in these probates. But look at these to get some listings. Those are somebody that you go in. It's a great means. I know in my county, I have two major counties that I focus on. One, they generate about 15 probate leads every month. The other, it's about 33 probate leads every month. And you can get those, go after them. If you're the only one going after them, you have the conversion rate on these. The conversion rate is about 10 to 15%. So just run those numbers. If you're getting 33, a month times 12, and then 10 to 15% of that, it's a great way to add some business to your business. So now what do we do, right? Once we get these, when you're calling it for sale by owner or you're going on a listing appointment, we're going to talk about lead capture, right? And I'll tell you, and Craig, you just got those 43 leads yesterday or this morning. 85% of those leads are a complete waste of time, right? They are. They're looky-loos. They're a complete waste of time. What we're trying to do is find those other 15% that aren't a waste of time, right? So when you're making those phone calls or you're going through, your mindset should be, how do I find the top 15%, right? How do I get those, right? And our goal, Craig, you generated those from online. Our goal is to get them offline. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? We want to take them from online to offline. We want to get them on the phone. That's offline. We don't want to communicate 100% online, right? We want to get them on the phone or face-to-face or in the car, right? So that's the main thing we want to do is we want to take them from online and just looking at our websites and just communicating from email to offline. Offline's the goal, right? You get them in the car or you get them face-to-face for a listing appointment, right? So how do we do that? right? Pick up the phone, right? Text them, get that appointment set, right? Get through the junk and get to the good one, right? And you can only do that by having a system in place. Um, was that somebody have a question or Craig? All right. So now I want to focus on lead conversion, right? And the three laws of lead conversion. Okay. So how do you get them to go from, once you do get them offline and you're talking to them, it's converting those leads, right? Going on a listing appointment and making sure you land that listing appointment. So we have three laws, and these are laws just like, gravity's a law, right? They work every time. It's out there. So the first one is the law of authority. Okay. Are you being an authority when you go on a listing appointment, right? For years, you walk in and, when I really started crushing it, I was still in my early 20s. I've been in real estate. I turned 40. What am I going to turn? I'm going to turn 44 this year, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. This is my 20th year in real estate. So, I was very young when I got started, and one thing that you got to come get over is that fear. And so I remember, when I first got started and was crushing it in real estate, they'd always be like, "So how old are you?" Right? But if you go in there with authority and you show them that you know what you're talking about, you do your research, what the market entails, and you can do some small scripts. One script I love that would show authority right off the bat is, when you're sitting down for that listing and you say, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want you to know that after this appointment, we may or may not do business together because I turn down more listings than I take. But I promise you this, after our appointment, you will be better educated in the whole process and the pricing of your home." Does that make sense? Right? That shows authority right there. So you have to show authority. Repetition, law of repetition, right? Again, we're going to the repetition of calling every single day, right? The repetition of being focused on doing one thing very well many times, right? Out there in this real estate industry, you can go focus on 10,000 things and do one thing 10,000 times, right? That's what you need to do, is do one thing 10,000 times instead of trying the 10,000 things. I see it all the time. People come into this business and there are vultures out there, right? If you're a new agent, there are everything that's, hey, for $30 a month, you can have this. And for, $100 a month, you can do this. And they'll use a line in the script. Well, if what we have only gets you one deal, it pays for the next 5 years. You can get nickel and dime in this business. Do not be a jack of all trades and a master of none of them. Learn one thing. Pick one of those 4 pillars that I talked about and repeat and become a master of repetition. Pick a for sale by owner niche and master it. Practice your scripts. The good news is there's only a handful of objections that we have to deal with, right? So go in there, master one thing, and then move to the next. Don't go in and try to do all 4 pillars at once. Don't go in and get 4 pillars, 4 areas of your business. Don't go, okay, I'm picking, repeat referral, for sale by owner, expired, and this, and try to do them all at once. Have a plan to get them all implemented within the next 60 days, but focus on one. The good news is it doesn't take long to master some of these, right? Spend 2 weeks on one of them and have 80% of your focus focused on that one, and repeat and repeat and repeat. All right. Next one is law of scarcity. I kind of just mentioned this, right? People want what they can't have, right? So the law of scarcity. go in there and, when I said, hey, I turn down more listings than I take. That's a law of scarcity, right? Use that to your advantage. If you're authority and you use scarcity on that listing conversion, you're going to convert more leads. Okay. Next one, the 4 steps to yes, lead conversion, right? So number 1, we've kind of already talked this. Be direct. When you go in there and, first of all, you're that authority, right? And be direct. Tell them, if they're wanting to overprice some house, tell them. Don't hem haw around it. Say, Miss Ray, I understand why you think your house is worth this, but here's what the comps are saying, and I sold X number of houses last year, and I'm just going to be direct. I don't understand how you're coming to that conclusion, right? Don't worry about offending them when you're there, when you're the authority. Okay, be direct with them. Use pattern interrupt. Okay, this is huge. I'll give you an example for expired listings. Interrupt their pattern. If you're calling an expired listing and you're calling them, and so, Craig, are you still here? I can't see if you're still on here. I'm muted for a minute. I'm going to do a little role play.
Hey, right here, Matt.
All right, awesome. Okay, so let's pretend you're an expired listing, right? So, first of all, what's the mindset of most expireds out there?
Pissed at the agent before.
Right. So if I call you up and I just, you're an expired listing, and I call you and I say, hey, Craig, I'm calling because your house expired, right?
Yeah, it did.
And I give you time to pause, right? And yeah. So
it expired.
Yep.
Same agent I had, he didn't do anything.
Well, when are you going to interview other agents?
What?
When are you going to interview other agents?
Right? I don't even know if I want to interview agents right now. Okay. That other agent was an absolute jerk. Y'all promise everything in the world, don't ever do nothing. Y'all just sit there and collect checks every week. That's all y'all do.
Right.
And then I'm just supposed to go list with you?
So that's how a lot of agents do it. Or they'll just say, here's a big one that I'll say never do, is never call and say, hey, Craig, how are you doing this evening? This is Matt Graham with eXp Realty. How are you doing this evening?
I suck.
Yeah, don't ever do that. So here's a pattern interrupt, right? We already know they're pissed off. We already know they hate agents. We already know that, right? So what if I called you and I said, hey, Craig, this is Matt Graham with eXp Realty. I noticed your house came on as an expired listing, and are you still wanting to sell that?
Yeah, I want to sell it.
You do want to sell it. Okay. Let me ask you, why do you think that the property didn't sell the first time?
Because that stupid agent I had.
That stupid agent. Okay. Why was that agent stupid?
He said he was going to do all kinds of stuff. He didn't do anything. He said he was going to put better pictures on the MLS. And blah, 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 blah,
okay, so do you think that better
Matt,
pictures on that?
Matt, you normally, just to let everybody know, just let him rant. Mm-hmm. Let him go. And
then what was I doing? I was digging deeper, right? So when they say something, okay, so they go in there and they say, well, my agent sucked. Well, why did your agent suck? He didn't put the right picture.
He said a bunch of stuff. He said he was going to sell my property. He never even showed it himself. Never once showed it himself.
What could he have done? What didn't he do that he said he was going to do, right?
Everything.
Well, can you give me an example? I'm just trying to figure out.
Yeah, well, he said he was going to show the property. He said he was going to have his whole office staff out here every day. I ain't seen none of them.
Okay, so you think if he would have had his whole office staff out there, it would have gotten your property sold?
Yeah, more people would have found out about it and we got it done.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at it on the MLS right now, and it looks like an amazing property. I can see some of the pictures. Yeah, not the best pictures out there, but it still looks like a great property. What are some other reasons why it didn't sell? Okay, so I just want to kind of go in there. Did you see how I kind of interrupted the pattern? Instead of saying, hey, this is Matt with eXp, how are you doing today? I went straight into, your house came up expired. I'm just wondering if you still want to sell it. Well, yes. Okay. Why do you think it didn't sell? Then they're going to go out. When they rant and rave, they're going to tell you exactly what they want in a real estate agent. Okay. And you're going to dig deeper to get to those. Okay. Now, here's the great part about what we talked about earlier. How do you handle those objections? My last agent said he was going to do, what are you going to do? Well, I'm glad you asked. I have an 89-point marketing plan that gets homes sold for the most amount of money in the least amount of time, right? That marketing arsenal that we talked about is going to handle, and that marketing arsenal was designed to handle these objections. And so if we dig deeper and we do use the pattern interrupt and we have authority, and last of all, if we have voice control, right? So I'm going to briefly talk about voice control is, you want to mimic and mirror what the other person is doing, right? So if I call Craig, and Craig's a good old boy farmer from Louisiana, and he talks real slow, and he's kind of just that good old boy, I don't want to be talking.
What are you talking about? You picking on me?
Right. No, but you want to match their pattern and their control, right? And you want to be enthusiastic. Guess what? People don't want to buy from people who aren't enthusiastic. If I say, "Hey, I noticed your property came up on the expired," right? But once you start talking to them, mirror and match, right? If I
Absolutely.
call somebody from New York City and they're just talking, they're real fast talking, right? I want to speed up my cadence a little bit. So you want to use voice control, and we'll get into some training later on how you can mirror and match and use neural. Say that for me, Craig. I know
Neuro,
NLP.
no problem. Neuro-linguistic programming.
There you go.
Enables you to be in total control of the conversation. Guys, this goes throughout, presenting to buyers, presenting to sellers, everything. Mirror and match is the best way. If you've got a buyer in a house and you're looking through the house and the buyer's touching everything, I want you to follow behind them and touch everything as well. Touch the mantelpiece, touch the fireplace, touch the countertops if that's what they're doing. If they're engineer types, they're going to be asking for exact numbers, exact this and exact that. You have to mirror and match. Matt's with patterns as well, like Matt's talking about, but also with different personality styles, I guess would be the best way to say it, with engineers and different things like that.
Exactly. So, and this is, it's amazing what you can end up doing, especially sitting across the table from somebody. And this is a huge negotiation technique for some of the top negotiators in the world. It's a huge way to build rapport. And I want you to try it on your next listing appointment. I want you to mirror and match the other person, right? So, if you're sitting across the table and they're sitting back and they're leaned back and they have their arms crossed, I want you to do exactly what they do. And I want you to do it for the first half of the listing appointment. And then I want you on the second half to change it up and take control, right? I guarantee. So if they're sitting there and they have their hand on their chin, I want you to lean forward and put your hand on your chin as you're talking to them. If they move to crossing their arms, follow them and mirror them and cross your arms. If they put both hands on the table, I want you to put both hands on the table. If you mirror and match everything they do, and you do that for the first 15 to 20 minutes on your listing appointment, once you start getting into more explaining, you watch. Then when you lean forward, I guarantee they will start to lean forward. If you do it for the first half, the second half, they will mirror and match you, and they won't even know they're doing it. And that's how you can control the conversation and control on what you want them to do next. So just a little experiment. Do that on your next listing appointment or next buyer appointment. Okay? Moving on, because I know we only have about 10 minutes left. Getting to number 8, having a marketing budget, right? Who here has a marketing budget? Not that many. Here's what it is. Right now, I want you to have 10% of your marketing budget. Now, this isn't 10% of what you sold. This is 10% of what you want to sell, okay? Because we may have some people on here that are brand new and haven't sold anything. But I want you to have 10% of every, and set aside 10% of every deal for your marketing budget, okay? So if you have, if your goal is to make 100,000 in GCI in the next year, your marketing budget is $10,000 for the next year. And then I want you to hold your marketing accountable. Okay. So you're going to, $1,000 a month, let's just say that's your marketing budget. Whether you have it or not, you may get up to there. If you don't have that money put aside, know that that's your target market, is to put at least 10% of every deal back into marketing. But I want you to hold that accountable. And Craig always says, red light, green light, right? Look at something. Don't right now, if you've been in there a while, whatever, tell people, hey, and believe me, everything's negotiable, even with these other companies out there that say, well, we require you to have a year-long contract. Bullshit. They don't. Right? Tell them, say, I'll sign a 3-month contract, at the most a 10-month or a 6-month contract. Don't sign a year-long contract, right? Sign for 3 months and say, if it's great, then I'll renew it for another 3. That red light, green light, test everything. I give everything 3 months to test out. If I haven't made my money back and then some, then I'm not going to do it. I'll give it 3 months, because sometimes it takes, I say the most it takes is a month to ramp up something, if you're focused on it, if you go in there and focus on it. So again, when I'm talking about, if you want to go out and buy probate leads, right, go out there. It's going to take a good month, maybe 2 months to generate. At 3 months, I better have closed the deal from it, right? So if I spend, in my one county, it's $250 a month for probate leads, right? To just for the one county. I really focus on 2. The other one, it has less leads, so I think it's like $160 a month for those 2 counties. So add that together, whatever that is. But it makes it, I'm getting my return on it. So, but when I first did it, I put on that red light, green light. So, I green light it. Okay, let's go. At 3 months, if it's not making me money, then I red light it. Stop it, get rid of it. Right? So focus on that. And then number 9, I'm going to talk about success duplication, right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Tony Robbins says it best, success leaves clues. Go out, find somebody who's doing what you want to do. And that's one reason we have this. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't spend all your time and money on thinking that you're going to come up with something new in real estate that hasn't been done before. Success leaves clues. Guys, this is not a hard industry, right? What gets in our own way is our own mind. We try to reinvent it. I love the acronym KISS. Keep it super simple, or the one I like is keep it simple, stupid, right? It's not that hard. You just have to do, I tell anybody, if you just come in, put in 40 hours a week, you can make 6 figures in this business all day long. But you just have, and people overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do what works. And I'd say get a coach, right? We have coaching here. This is why we offered it. We want everybody in our organization and just everybody out there to be successful. And but even if you want to take it one step further, get a coach that you're doing one-on-one with. If you don't have somebody that'll do that for free, pay for it, right? I paid years and years and years. I had a budget in there because I had 10% in marketing, but I also have 10% of my budget goes to reinvesting in my education. And I would spend minimum $1,000 a month to have a coach. And believe me, I learned that very quickly, and it helped me get to that next level. And I mentioned this, success leaves clues. Look at the people who are doing what you want to do and do what they did, right? And most of them will tell you. And then number 10, and then we'll wrap this up, is have a vision, right? Where are you going to be in 5 years? What does that look like? A vision, some people think, a vision helps, if you have a good vision, it's something to go and move towards. I found the opposite to be true. A vision will actually pull you towards that goal, right? do you have your goals written down? How many people? All right, can we please mute? Thank you. Um, write down your goals. Harvard did a study. They actually started this study in the 1960s, right? And they didn't end it until the 1980s. And they did this study, and they just went and looked at a graduating class of their Harvard graduating class. And it was a 20-year experiment. And they went and they did a survey, or however they did it, of how many of the class had written down goals, right? And there was only about 5% of them. I wonder why that 95.5. About 5% of them have had goals written down. 20 years later, they went back and they looked at those 5% and everybody else of who were the most successful people in that graduating class. The most successful people were that 5% that had their goals actually written down, right? So what type of goals do you want? You want smart goals, right? So what is SMART goals? SMART. You want specific goals, right? Goals that are specific. So, I want to have GCI of $100,000. That's specific. It has a number on it. I want to take, 5 listings a month. It's specific, right? M stands for measurable, right? Goals that you can actually measure. So breaking those down into what's it going to take 5 listings a month? Well, I measure that down. If I only, convert, 80% of the listings I go on, then, I'm going to have to take more. I'm going to have to go on, 7 or 8 listing appointments a month. So, have it written down, measurable goals. A stands for attainable, right? Are they obtainable, right? Or, if this year I have a goal to hit, or I want to do, $1 million in GCI, but this year I've only done 50,000 in GCI. Then what's that going to take?
Good morning, John.
Hey guys, we have a mute button down at the bottom. If you could please mute. Everybody has it, so we don't get interrupted. R stands for realistic, right? Have a realistic, obtainable plus realistic, right? Again, have realistic goals. I want you to aim high, right? And I don't care about you reaching that goal. I want you to aim a little higher, but I also want you to be realistic. And so when I say that, if I have a goal of hitting, okay, let's say you're brand new in the business, and you have a goal of hitting 100,000, right? And you only hit 95,000 in GCI. Are you going to beat yourself up too bad? No, right? I wouldn't. I mean, that's great. That's your first year, whatever. You hit 95,000. You had a goal of 100. Yeah, you may be upset, but that's still kicking butt. But if you go out there and you put a realistic goal of, or non-realistic goal of, I want to hit $500,000 in GCI my first year, that's probably not too realistic. Not saying it can't be done, and I've seen people do it, not realistic. So put realistic goals. And the T for SMART goals, have a timeline on it, right? I want you to have a timeline. I want you to have a 5-year goal, right? That's your vision. I want you to have 1-year goals. I want you to have monthly goals, weekly goals, and even daily goals, right? Are you waking up every day and spending 10 minutes writing down what your goals are for the day, right? My goals for the day, one was to get ready for this. 2, I'm going to talk to 5 agents to help build my organization for helping agents. And then I'm going to talk to 5 of my sphere of influence today. Those are my goals today, right? I set that for today. So have those set aside that time to have those goals, right? And believe in yourself, right? Muhammad Ali, right? I am the greatest. He said that before he actually was the greatest. He would always say that. He would always go out there and tell people before he won the belt, I am the greatest in the world, right? Believe in yourself. Have that vision. Have your mindset. have all that. So that kind of concludes what we have for today. I'm going to open it up, unmute all. So we have about, it's right at 11 o'clock, but I will take some questions real quick. Take some questions. Then we're going to take a 5-minute break. I encourage you all to stay on here. And then we're going to kind of switch gears and we're going to explain a little bit about EXP. So I'll open it up for any questions out there. All right. I don't see that we have any questions. So here's what we're going to do. I'm gonna stop the recording. Let me see. It looks like we have some chats in here. Okay, I didn't see that.
Hey, man.
Kaylee mentioned Vegas. Awesome. Yep. I'll give you my contact info. Here's my direct contact. So, yeah, John. And my cell phone. There you go. So there's my contact info. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Let you just stay on here, go grab something to eat. We're going to do kind of a virtual lunch and learn. So then we're going to tell everybody just a little bit about EXP Realty, the advantages of being here and what we love about it. I'm going to stop the recording and